what was your problem or challenge? Like, your family members and your well wishers would have reacted the same. What was your problem and challenge?
My mom almost got a heart attack when she told her that I'm quitting my job. Yeah, I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur, a small town. So, as it happens in a small town, you grow up, you study well, get a job, get married, have kids, and that's a normal life that you lead. And I did all of that. So,
Landed after EBC and you thought, yeah, अब मैं entrepreneur बन रहा हूँ. And then what happened? Reality struck.
oh, reality stuck. Reality stuck big time. Okay. So yeah. So actually, I was not prepared. Let's. So one of the things that if I have to draw an analogy with the trekking, then I would say that you never go to the mountains unprepared.
Welcome to the episode 1 of Own Your Story, the podcast where personal branding meets powerful storytelling. And if I had to start this podcast, it would be obviously with a person because of whom I am who I am. Someone who identified potential in me way back in 2016 and gave me an opportunity, a homemaker at the age of 41, to start working to kind of launch herself as a professional woman and to also help her own her story. So I would like to introduce to my guest Anurag Sinha. He is a banker turned entrepreneur and now a automation specialist. And he's recently launched a product. We're going to talk about it during the course of our conversation. Welcome, Anurag.
Thank you, Shweta. Nice to have.
Who would have thought, Anurag, that we would be sitting and having this conversation in the podcast at someday?
Yeah, certainly not from the first time where we met. That was obviously in a trek, and it's a long journey since then. But never would have thought at that point of time that you would sitting like this face to face in front of the camera having a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the audience, we both are passionate trekkers also, and that's what got us connected in the first place. So when we first met, I remember when we went, I believe it was 2014,
Yeah.
EBC, Everest
Yes.
Base Camp.
Yes.
10 years.
10 years.
Oh my God. So we went to EBC, and you were at that point in time, you had resigned from your very cushy job at Citibank. And honestly, I was thinking, like, what a fool, yeah. क्यों छोड़ रहा है नौकरी? And he was like merrily enjoying EBC, and like, I'm in this Zen mode right now, figuring out what to do next. And I'm like, what kind of a person he is? He's like, he has a family to look after, growing up kids, and like, क्या सोच के I had that impression about you. So now that I know you for past 10 years, I really understand where you were coming from. But I want to, for the podcast viewers, I want you to share that what was your problem or challenge. Like, like me, I'm sure most of your family members and your well wishers would have reacted the same. What was your problem and challenge?
Oh, certainly. My mom almost got a heart attack when she told her that I'm quitting my job. Yeah. So, see, I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur, a small town. So, as it happens in a small town, you grow up, you study well, get a job, get married, have kids, and that's a normal life that you lead. And I did all of that. So basically, was a fairly okay student, above average student. Did well in my academics, got degree, and then got a job, and got a banking job. And I ended up with Citibank. And like normal, you grow up in the bank, and I went up to the level of the vice president. I was heading the control compliance and the able function, the NRI business. But something was missing. There was something that was missing. I was not really enjoying what I was doing. And when I used to look at where my seniors, like, really very, 4 5 notches above, and see them what they were doing, So it really didn't give me that kind of looking myself doing the same thing. I would not picture myself really enjoying doing what they were doing. So I was at a situation where I had to really take a call. And trust me, I loved my bank. I worked almost 11 years in Citibank, and one of the best organizations that I could have worked for. So the question of leaving it and moving to another place didn't arise. So I had to do something very drastic, and becoming an entrepreneur always was there in my mind for a very long time. So, and one colleague of mine and we put, having a conversation that we should start something on our own, and then just took a plunge. So I said it's now or never, and that is the
I
reason.
think EBC gave you that kick, to become more courageous and take that step.
I wouldn't deny that actually. So when we decided about EBC, so I timed my resignation in such a way that before we go for the trek for the expedition, I would have completed my last working day, so that when I am in the mountains, I am completely free and starting my life afresh. So that was the whole idea. So yes, it helped in me in timing that my.
And I'm sure you would agree, and it has actually helped me also a lot, because it's pretty meditating in a way when you go for such long hikes and treks, and you kind of you know um, understand yourself better, kind of unwind your thoughts and get more clarity. Was it the case with you?
Oh, certainly. It always happens whenever I'm in the mountains, and especially when you're in the Himalayas, you're completely in a different world altogether. And so, a lot of times in the treks, so you're cut off from the world. Most of the time, signals don't work. So your phones also you are disconnected, and then you are always there with the extremely basics stuff with you. It's all about your daily needs that is there. So you're out of luxury, you're out into the wild, you're amidst nature, uh, and you're not in the most comfortable situation also. So that's the time that it gives you some contemplation and about who you are, what is it that really excites you, or what is it that troubles you, and how do you deal with adversities. It really is a wonderful space whenever I'm in the trek.
So you landed after EBC and you thought, yeah, ab main entrepreneur ban raha hu. And then what happened? Reality struck.
Oh, reality stuck. Reality stuck big time. Okay. So yeah. So actually, I was not prepared. Let's. So one of the things that if I have to draw an analogy with the trekking, then I would say that you never go to the mountains unprepared, and you never become an entrepreneur without being prepared, and that's the biggest mistake that I did. Okay.
But
So
are you prepared enough? Like,
okay. So I'll put it this way: uh, being an employee and being an entrepreneur are way two different ball games. You can be a very good senior employee, and the mistake that one can make, which I made, was to think that okay, so in my job I did pretty diverse roles. I started off in sales, I moved into the internal audit function, and then I moved into the control, compliance, and email functions, and I was managing a pretty large team. So so I thought I could do sales, I thought I could do operations, I thought I could manage people, and that what more do you need as an entrepreneur? But the mindset is where the difference is. Okay, where of how an employee thinks, and where how an entrepreneur thinks, is a very drastic difference. That is where I made a mistake in terms of having the change of the orientation, which I was not prepared for. So while I jumped into with a lot of confidence, but I didn't was not prepared for what was to come, and the challenges that was to come. So yeah, I was reality struck, and then of course things didn't go as you plan. Once you make a
your first venture, what was it all about?
so okay, so being a banker, so with the natural extension was that you start a financial services. So one of my ex-colleague and I, we started together one venture where we were syndicating loans for the small and medium enterprises. uh, but that is that is a time that one of the very important thing that struck me, one of the big realizations that I was not enjoying financial services. Okay, that was not really giving me the kick. It was not the job that I wanted to leave, but it was this financial services, a field that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life doing.
In a nutshell, if I have to put it, that you also evolve as an entrepreneur, that as a natural extension, you think that this is something that you've been doing all your life and you're capable of doing, and then you figure out that that's not something that you would want to do for the next 50 years, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. So, it's all about, things coming together about what you're good at, what you like, what people are ready to pay you for. So, all of this has to come together. Just does not mean that, everything that you're good for is what you would want to spend the rest of the life. That is what I realized. And that is what was one of the biggest realizations, and which I don't regret. I mean, I think that was a good thing that has happened, that you figure out, even if it is late in life, that this is not what you would want to really enjoy doing. So yeah, that was one of the ventures, and I took a call that I'm going to move out. And simultaneously, I was actually also, my wife is a HR consultant, and she had her own venture. And I said that I'm going to help her out in terms of building the business, putting the systems in place, and all that stuff. So that's where I got involved, and I realized that I was enjoying this much more than my financial services. So that was also, it
I
gives
can
you a
vouch for it. I can vouch for it because people skills. The reason why you identified potential in me, and you and Anu both, your wife, nudged me to kind of join. Uh, and I was like, okay, I don't have experience in sales, neither I'm qualified HR professional, and you want me to sell HR services, and what the hell are you even thinking? And now that I look back, I think it makes sense. But I definitely, it was your trust and your belief in my potential that I ride it on, and that gives me a understanding that yes, and over a period of time, I've observed your people skills are, you come across as someone who's very introvert, but ironically your people skills are phenomenal. So I think that made total sense of you joining Saksham was the name back then, right? Yeah. So we were talking about evolvement of you as an entrepreneur, and now I'm knowing you for so long. I've seen moving from the financial services to HR, and now you are completely into a different vertical, if I may have to.
Okay. So, this is where where as Steve Jobs says, that you connect the dots looking back. Okay, so uh, now one of the first jobs that I did, it was actually it was J Morgan Stanley, but that the office that we had was actually, it was a joint venture between JM Financials and Morgan Stanley. So at that point of time, the JM was the most more prominent figure over there. So I was to work in one of the broking arms of this organization, and they had a very primitive way of doing things. They used to, the brokers used to write checks and all that. And then, that is why I looked at them and I said, what are they doing? They're wasting so much of time. And that is the time, I started working on MS Access, and I created one of a small application for them, that what they used to take 3 days to do, they could do it in 2 hours time. Okay, so that was the first automation and first process that I had built. And throughout my working journey, my struggle is that how can I do it at the shortest possible time? So my honestly, I'm a very lazy person, but I work very hard to stay lazy. I would I would
Nicely
work
put.
I would work to create excels, or different sheets, so that once I input the data, it will just do the job over and over again. So and that is what has been the common thread all across. So even when I was working at Saksham, I was always trying to build systems where we are able to automate stuff, we are able to put some process in place. Zoho projects, we did a lot of work on Zoho stuff. So that is the time that when you look back and say, what is the thing that you really enjoy doing, what is the thing that really good at. Okay, so this is where my story was coming and trying. And this is what happened when during the COVID time. So when the COVID happened, everything shut down. All our customers' work stopped, and that's the time that it gave me some time to really reflect and think, and what is it that I would really want to focus my entire energies to try and build my.
One thing, Anurag, I am really amazed is that there have been ample amount of ups and downs, more downs than ups that I've seen in your career graph as an entrepreneur, and it amazes me that. Remember, every time I ask you this question, that do you regret being an entrepreneur, and very confidently, very unapologetically, you say never. And I find it very amusing because, like, if I were you, possibly I would have gotten back to working. And I've seen quite a few people now that I am interacting that okay, हमने try किया entrepreneurship, नहीं हुआ, let's get back to our safety net. But it talks a lot about your attitude, the go-getter attitude that you have, that okay, ये नहीं चला, कुछ और चलेगा, ये try करते हैं, वो try करते हैं. And This automation piece of yours, I you mentioned that you've recently come up with a product, and what is it all about? Would you want to share that?
Okay, so I said that I was building systems within the organization as far as Saksham is concerned, and wherever I was interfacing with the clients, I was also helping them build systems and processes and all. So then after I after the COVID happened, I said that let me just move out of the HR consulting, because HR is not something that has been my forte. Uh, Being a good people manager and being a HR manager are very two different ball games. But we'll not spend time on that. So then I'd start, joining the dots. So it came to systems, and I started focusing on building systems and processes for some of the class clients. And then that systems and processes moved into automation. And then I started focusing purely on lead generation, marketing, and sales activities, automating these functions. And then I came up with a product which is an all-in-one sales and marketing tool. It's basically a hub. It's a hub where you can have all your processes, all your systems, which is either lead generation. So you have a ad launcher, you have your website, landing pages, your calendars. In terms of lead nurturing, you have email marketing, WhatsApp
So you
automation.
don't need in this, you don't need any Zapiers to connect one tool to the
That was
another.
exactly. So that is where this whole thing comes into the picture. So when we were doing earlier, when we used to work with Zoho and with other things like Teachable and ConvertKit, so you needed some kind of an interface that joins all of this, so that all of these systems could talk to each other. Now this application removes the need for having any kind of interface to join all these systems. It is a wall-in-one single tool, very easy to use, targeted specifically at small businesses, trainer, coaches, agency owners, consultants, anybody who is looking out for generating and nurturing leads online. This is the tool that is really going to change their lives.
Superb, superb. I'm sure because every new tool that you and I'm guys, I'm completely polar opposite to what he is. So I'm more of a pen and paper person, and automation is very overwhelming for me. So I kind of outsource that to him, and I do understand the fact that once you scale, you have limitations as a human being, and resolving applying automation makes a very इंटेलिजेंट डिसीजन टू डू बट आप यार हर बार मुझे कोई नया टूल बता देते हैं, आई गेट लॉस्ट इन दोज टूल्स एंड लाइक आई एम गोइंग टू यूज माय गूगल शीट एंड गूगल डॉक्स एंड दैट्स दैट एंड इज देयर एनीथिंग रॉन्ग विद दैट इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस?
No, there's nothing wrong. So, it all depends upon to what extent do you want to scale your business. So it is okay, when you are just starting off, or even in the second phase of your journey, where you're dealing with a limited number of customers, and you can uh, you know the names of all your customers. Okay, so that and you can also know that how many prospects that you're chasing. But there will come a time when you're scaling a business where you have a team, you have a set of people who are doing sales on your behalf, who are doing the marketing activities on your behalf, who are closing deals on your behalf. So if you don't have the systems at that point of time, it's not going to work. Then again, you're going to be spending way a lot of time chasing people, following up. Then you'll be all spending time in terms of either servicing your clients or generating more strategies to build your business. So
And I'm seen. I'm sure that this tool will be a boon, because even if we try to outsource these activities to people, we are, you know, um, occupied coordinating with different people, and there are different thought processes, and aligning them on the same page becomes all the more difficult, because there are different alternatives that I have also tested, and kind of not worked for me. So yeah, looking forward to that automation to happen. Very quickly, two things that I want to ask you, knowing that journey, is, um, have you struggled owning your story?
oh yes, oh certainly, certainly. So first, actually, so when you're going through your struggle, okay, so one of the struggles is that one of the struggles I have gone through is not having clarity as to what is it that I really want to do. What is that one thing that I would be ready to do for the rest of my life? Okay, so I realized that certainly I don't want to do financial services. So that was out of the table. But you know what you don't want to do, but you know what is it that you want to do. So that is the struggle to get that to really.
So clarity is also about doing what you don't want to do.
That is one big victory, one step in the right direction. Yes.
Okay, so I see you active on LinkedIn, and I now see you comfortable also sharing your story. Uh, I truly believe, and that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is that your story is your superpower. So, how comfortable are you to kind of share your story online? And I know this podcast is the start. And do you think, like, people whom you follow closely, or the personal brands that you resonate with, have a strong story, and that's what actually connected you with them?
Yeah. So couple of people that I really follow, and one of them is like Siddharth Rajshekhar. That I had met him, I'd seen him in one of this train the trainer session that happened in Mahabalipuram, and I instantly connected with that guy. And he had a very authentic story. I mean, the guy is just a 12th pass, uh, running a business which is like a multi-crore business with just 5 members,
Huge following
huge
and huge
following,
community.
and huge, one of the largest community in the world of trainers, coaches, consultants. And he does a phenomenal job. Now, I really loved the story because he had failed maths in his 12th standard, and he could tell that with pride. Okay, that degrees don't matter, and something that I really connect and relate with. So yes, there are a lot of people who are telling a very authentic stories on LinkedIn. And and I remember one of the stories that I put. I was very reluctant, and you had actually pushed me to put that. The story was that I was during the last 6 months of my Citibank, I was actually doing nothing, and bank was paying me for doing nothing. So, and I could do that because I had trained all my one downs for the stuff that I was supposed to do, and I delegated everything. All I had to do is have an oversight to ensure that nothing amiss is happening. So initially, I was very reluctant to put this story that somebody, what people will say, "Ki this guy is just was drawing salary for doing nothing," or people can have different views. But that is one of the posts that got the most number of likes and engagements that I have ever had in any of my posts.
Authentic
It was
storytelling.
an authentic story. It was authentic and it was honest to the core.
And it had a message. See, when I'm saying, I'm seeing, because I'm in this business of helping people build their thought leadership on LinkedIn. What I see is people do share their stories, but what they fail at is that stitching that story with a powerful message. And here we had a message, and it is, because while people talk about micromanaging, should not be done, they don't talk about empowering their team, and kind of also having trust that they can fail miserably, and that's okay. I'm trying to learn that from you. So while we are sitting and having this podcast, my team is working on their own. There was no stand up today. I said I'm busy. You guys mind your own business. And I think having a so you've been appointed mentor emeritus. so
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
you know
That's an
that.
honor. That's an honor.
Uh,
That's an honor.
um, hadn't you identified that potential in me, my journey would have been entirely different. Uh,
So I'll tell you about we got a lot of time, good 13 days that we were there in the trek together, and I could see you day in day out, how you used to conduct yourself, how you were interacting with people, uh, and how you managed adversities in very hostile environment. And that always one thing that struck to me, what is this lady doing, why she's and I don't consider being a homemaker anything wrong. It's a good decision, somebody can choose to be there, but the potential that I saw, which you in the corporate or the business world that you could do, I found that you were completely wasted. And it's not something that I consider myself something that I know to identify talent as somebody who's managed people for 10-15 years, uh, gone through some hiring processes, getting some to pick up people and get them to do things which they themselves didn't believe that they could do. So it is something that you practiced and you've gone through. So I don't consider that I've done anything special about it. Only thing that I could see that that potential was not getting its due credit in the place that you were.
Welcome back. So we were talking about how Anurag identified potential in me and gave me an opportunity, and because of which you're watching this podcast. So all thanks to Anurag. Uh, I remember Anurag every single day that we've known each other, and I've like um, virtually taken you as my mentor, and I'm an observing thing, and all the dart that I've got from you time and again have been my guiding star, so to say. I remember when we were first attending a sales call, and possibly because of my personality, I don't know. The client of ours asked that, okay, what's your background? And I very shabbishly, apologetically said that I've just recently started. And I remember, coming out of that call, and you were like, you have 18 years of work experience. You were not doing any work back home, and that's when Anurag, first time, if I look back, owning my story hit. Owning my story hit. I was like, we are so conditioned by the society that as a homemaker, we are practically doing nothing, and we are good for nothing, and we don't have any potential in us. And potential does not, as Anurag mentioned, does not necessarily mean that you come out in the corporate world, or you can choose to do whatever you want to. But the point is that uh, owning your story journey started with me. So my question to you, Anurag, is that, like, you were the angel guide mentor for me. Who was guides in your journey for you?
Okay, so there are a lot of people that I give credit to in terms of shaping my thought process. One of them on the entrepreneur side has certainly been Siddharth Rajshekar. Uh, uh, then there are other people who have, for my other part of my thought process, in terms of what my belief system should be, what do I believe, what do I think about things like religion, society, value systems. There are quite a few other people I've have been instrumental in shaping up my. Then there are historical figures that I look at, who have done some phenomenal job. Uh, I personally believe one of the things that I've realized that I am very grounded into this Indic civilizational culture. Okay, so I try to derive my inspirations from characters, people who have played roles in this entire journey of our civilization, and how this country and how this whole society has evolved. On the again, coming back to the entrepreneur side, again, look at, so my when one of the things that I looked at, one of the reasons why I wanted to become an entrepreneur is that, see, as an employee, you're trading your time and your skill for money. Okay. Uh, I wanted to build a system in which that system works in spite of me, rather because of me. Okay. But when I became a when I get got into the consultant journey, I was doing exactly what I was doing as an entrepreneur, trading time for money. So my struggle was to create a scalable business that, that works largely without me. And that is where people like, Siddharth Rajshekar and Rajiv Talreja and all that is something that really came into the picture, where they spoke about building systems. And they showed this whole method, the roadmap, the process of actually building the systems and processes. But however, the struggle remained that, what is it that, I really want to, I'm really good at, and I would want to do and spend the rest of my life doing. Okay. So although I was good in finance, I was good in banking, but not that's not what I really wanted to do. So that was out. Uh, then it is the question came up in terms of how, what is it that I want. Automation became one of this thing. And then I looked at having my own product that gives me the location freedom to do the job. So there are people who have played a role in terms of, understanding at each step that, what is it that I would want to do. But if you ask me, on the business side, the one person that I really look up to and I really is Siddharth Rajshekar.
Wonderful. So, coming back to the next question, I remember you started mentioning that the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset. Now, in the span of close to 10 years, that you've been an entrepreneur yourself and experimented with different kind of businesses, what has integrally been your mindset shift, Anurag in 2014 versus Anurag in 2024?
Okay, so one of the thing is that, you are basically uh, not looking. I was not. I was fairly short-sighted, so to say. Okay, so just looking at the next customer, next assignment, or next, business, or the next invoice, the next month, kind of a thing. But that was one of the biggest mistakes that you do. Entrepreneurship is an infinite game. You have to think a little into the future. How does a business look like, 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line? If you're not able to answer this question with clarity, that means that you're not gone deep enough. Okay, then you're still into that, the struggle and the survival kind of a phase,
Firefighting.
firefighting kind of a phase. And you will be continue to do that for a very long time. So it's important to sometimes pause, uh, do the groundwork, and then, start building it from there. So this whole key, to just take the next, just the next month and the next invoice and the next bill, is something that, really needs to change, if you really want to become a entrepreneur with a horizon, with a long term horizon.
True. So I remember we were discussing in my office the other day that while this vision is important, and while drawing again the analogy from our trekking experience, that while the peak is important, but when you get tired, you have to pause and you have to look down and see how far you've come, and that kind of motivates you to kind of go further. And for me, definitely that has worked time and again, because if 1 month doesn't go well, you think that okay, you're going nowhere, and that's not actually entirely true. You've covered a distance, and I think you would agree that for all entrepreneurs, this is also an exercise that they, while you have a bigger vision in mind, kind of time to time looking at the milestones that you have covered so far does give you that belief in you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So yeah, you look back and you see where you know, where you were and where, how much far you've come. Uh, you will always be critical about yourself, and it's good thing to do. That, that pushes you to do more. The moment you start getting, that, by I have arrived in life, so, then you are done. So it's a good thing, but also you need to appreciate where you were and what is the distance that you've covered. Okay, so when you have the peak in mind, you have to keep moving in that direction,
One step
but
at a
one
time.
step at a time.
Yeah.
And yes, and
So I have a pointed question that um, your target audience is largely business owners, coaches, consultants, right?
agency owners,
So
yes.
agency owners. So do you think they should invest time in sharing their story, building thought leadership, personal brand? Because in my opinion, these are the people, like you mentioned about Siddharth Rajshekhar, and nobody knows really what his company name is, or people
True.
follow him, and that's the whole anchoring to his business, and even building his community for that matter. So how important do you think is personal branding for entrepreneurs, for you, or for even your target audience?
So wherever entrepreneurs, in my experience, I've seen that wherever entrepreneurs, whether it is my customer or otherwise, that who have focused on building the personal brand, their businesses have grown. Okay, and I'll give you an example. Let's look at today Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Richard Branson. All these people are multi-billionaires, but they still are working on their personal branding. They are there, they are talking about their values, they're talking about the vision. They are there always in the media. uh, and they are not there just to create a noise. They are there to build their brand. They're part of the story. Okay, so you can look a person like Elon Musk. Today he's uh, grown so big that he's influencing politics. Okay, so everybody is doing that. Everybody, whoever has understood this powerful part of the story building, storytelling exercise, they have done exceedingly well. Now, and even my customer. So one of my customers is a machine manufacturing in business, and he's active on LinkedIn. And his company, which they are a very niche kind of a product, their company page has got more than 10,000 followers. Okay,
Wonderful.
so just being consistent, and that is what is giving them so much of visibility, so much of leads comes from that, from just being active on LinkedIn and showcasing their products and showcasing the services that they bring. So I believe that if you are expanding your business, if you want to generate leads at a lower cost on a consistent basis, uh, you need to be there. That's number one. Number two is that not only generating lead, but also see, any sales process is about, first is about generating leads, then creating trust, and then the transaction happens, right?
True.
So this trust building exercise, when people are watching you, seeing you for a long period of time, most of the people are not going to buy from the very first time, but they see you, watch you, see the message that you're bringing across consistently. Once they start relating with what you're putting up, then you are able to do much. Converting transactions become much,
Agreed.
converting customers becomes much easier.
The trust is there. People do business with you.
Yeah, true.
So you being there and that trust in you is there. So yeah.
Yeah, so what Siddharth says, that people buy you before they buy your product or service.
True, true, true.
So people, so very important. That's one of the things that I also learned in Citibank, is that it's not, even when you businesses do businesses with each other, it's not the business doing business with another business. It's the people in that
The
business doing with the
person
people
doing,
with another
yeah,
business.
yeah.
So I used to interact with people whom on phones, and that time we didn't have Zoom and video calling and all that. But on the phone itself, that we built relationships, we built connections. And whenever the connections are there, even within, so even like an organization like Citibank is also many businesses within a business, right? And you're talking with dealing with people across geographies. So the moment you're connecting with people, building trust, your work happens much faster.
Definitely. So coming to the end of our discussion, it's been amazing, and just the way I wanted it. Um, Honestly, I was very nervous because this was my first episode. But I have two pointed question. One is, if I have to ask you, what are the top three key takeaways for entrepreneurs, professionals in general, from your journey? What would that be? And the second is that what can one expect from Anurag 4.0, I guess?
Okay, so the first takeaway from my journey is that always strive for clarity.
Mhm.
Okay, strive for clarity as to what is it that you want to do. Clarity is that whom do you want to serve. Clarity on how do you want to serve. Clarity is that what is it that drives you. Just always never stop the journey of getting that clarity in place. Number two is that you need to be there. You need to be consistent. You need to show up. You need to show up every day. No matter what happens, you need to show up. Okay, things work, doesn't matter. You need to show up. You things work,
I've
still you
seen,
show up, huh?
I've seen you.
Yeah. So I had my time in terms of struggles that I was physically, mentally. I had a very tough time. I had gone through some really really tough phases. But one of the things that looking back, I did very good is I showed up every day. Okay, even if things were not working, I showed up every day. So second thing is in terms of consistency, and third is that build systems. You need to whatever you do, if you are building systems, if you're not building systems, then what, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Okay, you need to build systems, you need to build automations, you need to get the team in place, you need to delegate, you need to, it's basically entire ecosystem. I would I would rephrase my stuff, and instead of just building a system, try and build an ecosystem that works. Yeah.
Wonderful. And what can one expect from Anurag
Oh,
4.0?
okay. So my focus of business. One of the things that I always wanted to do is create a scalable business, which now I know that I'm building on very very. I have full clarity on that and full confidence. And number two is that I wanted to build a business which gives me location freedom.
Mhm.
Okay, so that I can operate from any part of the world, still service my clients, still give that consistent service, and still deliver results for my customers. So one
Very
of the things,
soon, I'm going to see you vagabonding.
yeah, sure, that is definitely going to happen. That is definitely going to happen. That I will be working from different parts, doing
So,
different
some
stuffs.
travel stories up
Yes.
to look for. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anurag, for being there. And I've seen you owning your story because I've known you for almost a decade now, and no one else I could think of to start this podcast but you. And you're someone who's been incidental in also helping me own my story. I think we'll need another podcast for that discussion, how this all happened. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And guys, we are going to come up with more such interesting conversations in our next episode. Stay tuned to Own Your Story, where personal branding meets powerful storytelling.
So thank you, Shweta, so much for having me in your podcast. I really had a lovely time. Honestly, when I was a little nervous that how I'm going to fare, but I think we just made a conversation, all straight from my heart. I really look forward for having more such conversation, and all the best. You're doing an exceedingly wonderful job, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud that you have proved me right again and again and again. Thank you so much.
You know the vision that I have, and let's strive that we see that day someday.
Yes, that will happen.
Thank you.
It
Thank
will
you so
happen.
much. Here's to owning your story and more such wonderful conversations with you. Thank you.